he was dismissed by LeVon Williams without being given any due process or anything like that. So that terminated his relationship with WBAI. But he continued to do his work. He was a public poet, an educator, host of the cable TV program called Learning Tree, creator of the Dred Scott News Hour, and held various community forums, and was a community organizer up until the point of his death. And the family is in need of assistance. If there's anyone who can help, they certainly can use the money. As most community organizers, he had very little money, and the family can certainly use that for the funeral services. The funeral is going to be at the funeral, as well as the viewing of the body, is going to take place in Paterson, New Jersey. The viewing is going to be on Sunday, and the funeral on Monday. That's Sunday from 3 to 7. The viewing of the body. The funeral is at 10 a.m. And it's going to be at the Community Baptist Church of Love at 535 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Way. For information on how to get there, you can call 973-742-9119. That's 973-742-9119. People from around the country are sending their condolences about Kamal because he was doing very much work.
Thank you for. Yeah. In addition, I'd have to announce that Len Weinglass, our friend, is in the hospital in very bad condition, grave condition. He has cancer that spread to many of his organs. So he's up at I think it's Montefiore Hospital, I believe. And also, oh boy, this is totally depressing today. Also, today is exactly 1 year to this date that Steffi Brooks died. And she worked at the station for many years, and miss her also. So, all of that, yes, Bob.
I just wanted to say a little bit more about Kamau because there are so many dimensions to who he was in the world, both as a media person and as a community activist. A lot of people may not have been able to stay up till 2 a.m. to tune into his show. And so because of frankly nasty things that were said about him, they may have a stereotype about what kind of programming he did. But actually his programming, which I was only rarely able to stay up late enough to listen to, was incredibly rich and diverse. And he was, one thing that's not too well known is he was a labor union organizer. And he would often have union organizers and union officials come on the air and talk about, particularly where he was based in New Jersey, talked about the issues that workers were facing in New Jersey and just generally community struggles of different communities, particularly African American and Latino, but others as well. So that's one thing. The other thing that people often forget is that he was a stalwart of the struggle to take back WBAI in 2001. He would often co-chair the rallies. He organized tremendously through his networks in New Jersey, so he was somebody who really devoted heart and soul to keeping this station and this network under community control. So those are just a few, besides all the things that Bernard said about him, those are a few other dimensions that I will always remember him with great fondness.
Carolyn.
I don't see a microphone, but I would like to thank you.
This will be the last comment because time is running out.
I think it's appropriate that since some of us may not be at the funeral, that the board vote, I hope, without objection, to sending flowers to Kamal's funeral. Is that possible?
Yeah, I don't think. Are there any objections? Seeing none. Yeah. Who will do this?
I'll do it.
You'll do that?
The information's on the internet, as I recall.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So now we move to the next item on the agenda, which is election of LSB officers. We have a number of ballots, and our poll has made up ballots, and we will distribute them one by one to people.
What are we voting on first?
The first will be the chair for 2011.
Point of order.
Yes.
Point of order. Where we left off at that very pleasant meeting in December, or no, last. I'm getting my months mixed up. Was that there should be a toss of the coin? So I move that we toss a coin to determine who the chair should be, because there was a. I don't know why people are saying no. When I'm done, you can certainly say whatever you like to say. That's what the bylaws dictate, is that you toss a coin, not that you do an election because one doesn't like the outcome of the election. So I move that we toss a coin. Can I get a second?
And right, and that point of order is not well taken.
I'd like to challenge the ruling of Mitch.
The reason why it's not well taken is because the election is now coming up for the chair itself. There is no provision in the bylaws for, we talked about this before you came in, there's no provision in the bylaws for co-chairs or for
Why can't we make a new one?
and I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask people in the audience, Ted Monroe, to not shout out.
Why must we?
Mitch.
So, yes, go ahead.
All the time?
Okay. There was an election. There were two elections, for chair pro tem and for chair, and the vote count was the same. That's why I'm challenging your ruling that is completely out of order, and what's supposed to be done is that you draw straws. That's why.
Alex.
I already gave notice for a new election for chair in any case, so this whole issue is moot.
Yes. Our poll.
Yeah, last time, nothing got completed. As a previous speaker referred to it as a lovely meeting, what went on was a lot of chaos, and if there had been a coin toss, there was already at that point a call for a recount. In any event, none of those elections were ever completed. The meeting ended. This is not only a new meeting, this is a new session, and therefore all of the vote that was never completed falls to the ground, and it's a do-over.
Bob.
Okay, the point that was just made is kind of a classic example of twisted logic. The vote was not...
Bob,
I'm not saying anything about the person. It's about the issue at hand is that there was a proper election, the ballots were counted, the outcome was announced, that it was 11-11, it was a tie, and the next step, according to the bylaws, which are very clear in Article 15, voting methods, are that in an instant runoff voting election such as this one, where there's just one office being elected, that in the event of a tie, that there is, well, they use the phrase drawing straws, but that's the equivalent of tossing a coin. And in fact, Nia actually made the point of order that should happen next, and the chair rejected it at the time, and and then other people just chose to kind of refuse to do what's proper, and nothing happened. So that can't, because the completed, so now we just start fresh. No, we don't start fresh. There was a proper election, there's a result, let's do what the bylaw says we should do, and then we'll go from there. There's no basis for redoing an election absent a show with evidence and with a due process proceeding that there was some kind of fraud.
Yes, Jamie.
Hi, I have a point of information. Can the board, if it so chooses, elect a chair at a meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
So I've ruled that the point of order is not well taken. We've had people speaking on it. We now go to a vote. All those, right, it's already been done. All in favor, okay, we can do a roll call. All in favor of a roll call to whether to uphold the ruling of the chair or
Somebody acting
to...
as secretary?
I'm not, but I do have a list.
I can take it.
Okay, why don't
You have your
you do
list
that for
there?
the meantime?
Want me to call it?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Okay.
Any objection? Go ahead. So a yes vote upholds the ruling of the chair, and no vote opposes the ruling of the chair, overturns it.
Susan Adelaide? I think you may want to counsel. All right. Yes means you're upholding the ruling of the chair. No means you're overturning the ruling of the chair.
Okay, I didn't know you were asking for two votes. Okay, so no.
No. Nia Bediaco?
No.
Carolyn Burden?
Yes.
John Brinkley?
No.
Elizabeth Brown? Stephen Brown?
Yes.
Janet Coleman?
Yes.
Russell Dale?
No.
Kathy Davis?
Yes.
Betty Dobson? Andrea Fishman?
Yes.
Ray LaForest? Bob Lederer?
No.
Lawrence Lucas? R. Paul Martin, yes. Teresa Palmer? Sean Rhodes?
Yes.
James Ross?
Yes.
Manija Saba?
Yes.
Mac, wrong number. Alex Steinberg?
Yes.
Daniel Vila?
No.
Bernard White?
No.
Camille Yarbrough?
No.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in favor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 opposed. Vote is 10 for, 8 against.
Thanks. So the vote to uphold the ruling of the chair is upheld. We now go to the vote.
What was the vote count?
10 to 8. We now go to the vote for chair.
We need
Now,
nominations first.
right.
Point of order.
Going to ask nominations if people have nominations to make.
Point
Yes.
of order.
Yes.
Alex gave notice of an intent to redo the election. That doesn't mean we automatically do it. We vote on his, that's a motion. We have to debate that
Yeah, this
and
is
vote on
out
it.
of order.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not out of order. You can't one
Because
member
we just
can't
had that,
automatically.
we just had that vote to uphold the chair on that.
No, that was on a
Well, that
different
was
matter.
upholding.
That was on whether the coin, that was on whether to toss a coin based on the outcome of the last election. The question of having a new election is a motion, and we need to debate it and vote on it.
Absolutely. No. Absolutely. No. It's already an agenda item.
That's right. It's on the agenda. It passed the agenda. All, do we have nominations for, yes?
I would like to challenge that. That's not what happened.
We have an agenda, we passed the agenda, there were no objections to that.
That's fine, thank you.
We're now going to, we are now moving to nominations for the
The
chair,
agenda doesn't say anything about voting for
the
chair.
officers.
It doesn't say anything about voting for chair. We already voted for
All right, you're talking out of turn, first
May
of
I
all.
speak?
Nia had the floor.
Yeah, that's what it says. And he gave notice, so I don't understand what
He gave notice that we do this again at
that's
this
the
meeting.
motion, that we
No,
And that's
that,
a
he gave
motion.
notice and we're doing it again.
In what capacity does he?
Okay.
Anybody can give notice under Robert's rules. Right. Under Robert's rules, you can give notice to redo a motion that that existed before. And it comes up automatically and it's on the agenda now.
You give notice to redo not to rescind or reconsider. I don't understand that rule. I've never heard of that rule.
Yes, go ahead.
Could you read it?
The previous notice is moot. We have just decided, yes, the election attempt last time failed. Okay, again, new meeting, new session. We are required to vote for the officers. That's why we're doing it. We haven't elected the officers yet. We didn't do it in December. It's February. We got to do it. That's why we have to have the officer elections now.
Ditto. So, can we please have nominations for officers? For chair of the board for 2011.
I nominate
Kathy.
John Brinkley.
Kathy, please don't shout out.
I nominate Mitch Cohen.
Thank you.
I nominate John Brinkley.
Nobody
Please don't
seconded
shout
it,
out.
But nobody seconded you.
You don't have to second for nominations. Okay, yes.
I nominate John Brinkley.
There we go. Okay. Are there other nominations for the chair of the board? Yes.
I move to close nominations.
Let's see if there are more nominations. Are there other nominations? I'm holding that aside. All right, seeing none, nominations are closed. And could you please pass around the ballots? And we will collect the ballots one by one.
All right. Who's going to handle these? How are we going to do this?
You can just pass them around to each person. Yes, Barbara, would you do that? Let's count out the number of people here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 19.
Whoever handles the ballot should not be a person voting.
That's okay.
Mitch?
So give one to each person, please.
Mitch?
No, it's not.
Mitch? Could we have someone from the other side with her?
Sure.
Anybody from?
I don't know. It's not
Quote,
any
unquote.
side, but go right ahead.
Anybody have a stapler?
Did you give one to our poll?
Yes.
Yes, Lisa, would you mind witnessing?
Anybody have a stapler?
Do you have your camera on your phone? You have your camera on your phone?
Well,
So what we should do is write on the blank side of the ballot your preference for chair. Okay.
no, neither one of you is on the board. Could have more than one.
Even if you didn't have other stuff in your hands.
Yeah.
I think that would be a more fair approach.
I'll put it away, but I'm not, I know what I'm doing, thank you.
First of all the ballots look like this. You don't
Yellow,
have anything yellow in your
Yeah, Barbara?
We're watching each other.
Now, could you make sure, take this around, Lisa, take this around to one, each person, and each person will drop in one.
Make sure it's empty.
Second, making sure nothing's in here. Second, put my hands in.
Hold on, let me tape it so to make sure that it doesn't.
Where's the camera? Make sure there's nothing under here, okay.
So don't put your hands in there.
Excuse me, but,
Here we go.
my gloves.
Do you need that?
Because I
Come on.
Lisa,
Don't take her seriously.
Johnny, no,
She doesn't have a yellow slip of paper that says WBAI LSB chair
and we
ballot
have
on
people
it.
watching.
How
I got my
ridiculous.
pocketbook with me too.
Lisa, don't even.
Okay, and, wait, let's take it one by one. Yes, Paul, let's do it
Voided
slowly.
all the other ballots,
Here,
so we're
put
done.
your ballot in here.
Oh, that'd be nice. I'm voting for Quaker Oats. There's a table in front of everybody.
No, you can just do it right at the...
No, don't put it on the, don't put it near any of us. Yeah, leave her bag with him.
Quiet.
No, I won't.
She's giving me her bag.
Are there nominations? Okay, seeing none. Any more nominations? All right, seeing none, we're going to go to a vote as soon as the container comes back. Oh no, we have to pass out the ballots. Do we have more volunteers to pass out the ballots? Thank you.
Someone else like to volunteer? Hold on, Marsha, would you volunteer to help out with the voting? Just to observe and help.
5.
Just one is good. You can do it, Marsha?
Each person one.
Each member one.
Make sure you have
Give
to
me one
observe.
too. Thank you. Yeah.
Just one person.
John, bring it to the end of the official.
There's an envelope for that. Yeah. Mine was
And can, yeah, let's get that quick or else container back here, please.
Princess?
We have the container.
You have 11-8. 11 John 8. And I'm going to pass this down.
John 1, 11.
Thank you. You want to,
Okay, another.
yeah, Bob, you want to, who was the new, we had another crew doing this one. Why don't we let, all right. Okay, no. Yeah, Bob, you can do it with this one. So Barbara, could you give me that envelope, please?
I sent it down.
I have it. Oh, okay.
You want it?
Yeah.
11.
All right. We need to write it on the envelope.
I wrote a piece of paper inside.
Oh, okay. It should be glued. What should happen is, okay.
It's 11-8.
All right. The vote for chair was 11 for Mitchell and 8 for John. It's much warmer up here than it is downstairs.
This is a nice space. Oh, they would set up.
Try not to stain. Just put it on this
So,
We go in the back room.
The next.
I mean, it looks very much.
The next. No. I'm just worried about it.
I understand, but
You need some paper and an envelope.
Yes.
Coming down.
The now we go to the treasurer. No, go treasurer first. All in favor? All nominations. Sorry, for treasurer. Are there any nominations, or can we do without a treasurer this time?
Oh, yeah.
Are you supposed to be doing the secretary first?
I nominate R. Paul Martin.
Okay, R. Paul is nominated for treasurer. Are there other nominations? John?
I nominate William Herwagen.
William Herwagen. Okay. Are there other nominations? Seeing none, the nominations are closed.
Question for the commission. I don't see the second person nominated here. How do we know he accepted?
Well, we have to assume that people contacted him.
I'm sorry.
Yes, okay.
Confirmed with him that he would.
Okay, thanks. And he was a vice secretary, vice treasurer a few years ago. So, can we have some more people to pass around the ballots, please?
These guys are almost done.
Any volunteers from the audience? No?
Well, maybe if, okay, there are 3 people there, maybe.
Yeah, we could get.
Where the ballot?
Yeah, we gotta get the.
Where the ballot?
Yeah, they're right here.
here.
Yeah, somebody want to go around with Saul to? All right, well, here, give it to Saul.
All right, here comes everybody. And the Quaker Oats is coming.
Ready?
Oh, that's, we don't need that.
Yeah.
I get one.
You get one. You made me wait, I'm not you wait.
Oh, really?
I can be a big ass baby just like you.
No, I'm sure you're far better at that than I am.
Quiet, please. The results for the vice chair were Andrea Fishman 11, John Brinkley 8. Yeah, we're not ready.
Can everybody? I think I misspelled my name now. All right.
People here, we're voting for treasurer, and the vote on the treasurer is for William Herwagen or R. Paul Martin.
Any spelling of the name?
Doesn't matter.
Martin or Heerwagen.
The intent of the voter was
Thank you.
Nail biter. Anticipating the results of these elections, it's got to be nail biters. I know. I remember how it was for me.
Okay, the next position that we'll be voting for is for secretary.
Oh,
So, secretary, are there nominations for secretary? Seeing none. Oh, Sean.
I nominate James Ross.
Yes, Bob.
I nominate William Herwagen.
Okay. Are there other nominations? Seeing none, we have Jamie Ross and William Herwagen for secretary. So can we pass the ballots around again? Hey, Alex, do you want a ballot? Or?
I got it. Oh, yeah, I do. No, I have your ballot. My ballot? You're going to give me my ballot?
Paul, do you want to be on the P&D committee? Somebody gonna let it go?
That's the best we can do.
No, I will not, Alex.
No?
You have to ask me, you can't assume that.
I said probably.
And national broadcasts and so it's basically really about the technology and the business of Pacifica. It's one of the few committees that is more about the business of radio and less about the politics. So it can be a very enjoyable committee for those who are interested in that.
Just a point of order.
I have
Where
one
is-
information. Go ahead.
The technology is not a task force. It's a committee of the Pacifica National Board. Just
All right,
to be
that's
clear.
not a point of order, but it's okay.
All right, it is a point of order.
Yeah.
That's procedural misinformation.
Yeah.
Can I make a distinction?
Can you make the distinction between a task force and a committee of the PNB? What are the fine points?
And while you're doing it, I have a question that might. Right. Go ahead.
Task forces,
Go ahead.
committees
Carolyn,
have-
please turn on your mic.
Committees are elected. Task forces generally accept people who want to join without regard to whether there are too many or too few from one station. People who are interested in the subject join task forces, and sometimes task forces, as I recall, make their own rules about how many people they'll accept and how they want to work. So it's a little bit looser structure. But I think they have a little more autonomy in how they work than a committee.
My question was, can we nominate people who are not on the board to be on these committees, or it has to be some?
No.
Okay.
I made an error.
No, you didn't say that.
No, we cannot.
Does this committee which the
Please turn on your mic.
I'm sorry. Does this committee that has the technical responsibility requires to have people who have technical knowledge to be on it? Because I think if this task, with the way I'm looking at BAI website, is the same boring thing that there was ever before, and we this year hasn't done anything, and I think that's my question. Do people have to have knowledge about this, or because somebody wants to be on a committee, she's going to go on it?
Did you want me to respond to that? I think it's a balance of people who were on the last committee. Some people had technical knowledge, other people had maybe less technical knowledge but a lot of time and energy, and were able to. They actually got more done than the people with technical knowledge because they were busy doing fundraising and stuff like that. So it's a balance, and the local station. What happens locally is not controlled by the national committees. So all we could do as a committee is make recommendations to the staff and the station. So, I mean, if you think the websites need to be improved, then maybe that's a committee that you would enjoy being on.
We got to move on. Come on. Are there nominations to be on the technology committee? Does anybody volunteer to be on it, or if you would like to be on it?
No. I want to know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Let me point out that the committee structure of the PNB is one of the important ways that the WBAI local station board interfaces with the rest of the Pacifica Foundation's governance structure. And so, we have, without getting into too much, we've had people on the technology committee who, need help turning on a radio. So you don't have to have anything. Plus, it's good that we have 2 people on every committee so that the rest of Pacifica sees us. It's really important these days.
Can you name all the committees so we know what we're...
Right. We have.
Well, okay, I can't say that I wrote down what we did last year. We did technical programming audit, elections, committee on racism and sexism, Pacifica Radio Archives Task Force, it's a little different, Affiliates Task Force, Governance, and the Committee of Inclusion.
There's one change. The affiliates is no longer a task force, but I can't quite say I know what it is at the moment.
No one knows.
Is there no finance committee on it?
No, NFC is
Okay.
different.
So, technology committee.
It is a task.
I'm sorry, whatever.
Not
Yeah.
affiliates.
Oh, well. All, are there nominations for Bob?
Ray LaForest told me that he would like to serve on this committee.
Okay. Yes, Sean?
I nominate Jan Coleman to be on the technology committee.
Yeah, please use the mic next time. Andrea?
I decided I didn't want to nominate this person.
After hearing some late break.
Yeah, right. I changed my mind about the.
Okay, so are there other nominations? Seeing none, are there objections to those two people going to the committee, the technology committee?
Yeah, we elect two, right?
Yes. Okay, so those two folks are on. Ray LaForest and Janet Coleman are on the technology committee. The next committee is programming committee. Is somebody who is on the programming committee now want to explain what it is and what it does?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I was on the programming committee last year, and I actually was chair, which I wouldn't want to do again. But basically, the programming committee is kind of a the goal has always been to, as far as I can tell, has been to get some understanding of the procedures used at the various stations to make programming decisions, what goes into evaluations, what the programming goals of the stations are, and to present this information in a unified way to the Pacifica board so they have a good handle on what the programming of the foundation of the network as a whole is. We were successful to a certain degree last year, but not as successful as I'd hoped. Another highlight of the programming committee, let's see, in 2008 there was this big motion that Carolyn, can you help me? There was this big motion that the programming committee passed. And it was to set goals. The board actually passed it. The PNB passed a recommendation by the programming committee that the board set goals for all the stations to increase listenership. I wasn't on that committee at that time, but that was one thing that the programming committee did. It's kind of programming. Let's be frank. Programming is done at the local station level. It's not a PNB thing, but basically it's to advise the PNB on what's going on in the stations and perhaps set policies.
Thank you. There, people could self-nominate also if you'd like to be on this programming committee. So, all who would like to be on it or nominate people to be on it? Yes, John.
I'd like to nominate Bernard.
Okay, Bernard. Anybody else?
Well, I would do it.
Okay, Jamie. So anybody else? Seeing none, do we have are there disagreements with sending Bernard and Jamie to the programming committee? Congratulations. The next committee is the audit committee. Nia, do you want to give what the audit committee does?
Okay. The audit committee is it's not a very popular committee because basically it's basically like a watchdog committee of any not-for-profit, not just the Pacifica Foundation, and it hires the Pacifica external auditor, and well, that's its basic function, and it approves the audit at the end of the year. It is supposed to go through the financial statements that are presented to the committee, to make sure everything is okay. And it's good to have a finance background. I mean, there are people who have joined who've learned very quickly, but it's good to have a finance background because you need to know what a balance sheet is, your expenses, and so forth, that type of stuff, so that you know what you're looking for. However, if you have a chair that is knowledgeable, and as a member, if you don't want to be the chair, it will osmose. A lot of things will osmose. So I would strongly suggest that people do join that committee. If you want to be very unpopular, you can join that committee.
Are there nominations or self-nominations or otherwise for the audit committee? I'll start. I'd like to nominate Steve Brown for the audit committee. Declines. Okay. Are there other nominations?
May I ask a question?
I would like to nominate John Brinkley.
Okay, John. Okay. Are there other nominations for the audit committee? Carolyn?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question.
Well, we're taking nominations.
Oh.
I'd like to nominate Manise.
Okay. So Manise has been nominated for the audit committee. Are there further nominations? Seeing none? No, it's two. So those two folks, Manise and Nia, are on. I'm sorry, and John Brinkley. I'm so used to Nia being on the audit committee. Okay, so those two are on the committee. The next committee is the elections committee. Who is on the committee now? And somebody on the committee like to tell us about the elections committee? I think that was Carolyn, right? Oh, you're on it now?
And Russell's on it also. Basically, the elections committee reviews the elections processes and makes recommendations about elections. It does not have authority to actually rule on elections or anything like that. It's an advisory body.
Advisory about what?
May I add something to that?
Yes.
I just wanted to point out that since our next election is not next year, the elections committee will have 2 years, essentially, or a year and a half, to make some really needed changes. So it will be an important committee. It won't be as crushed and rushed as it has been in the past. So I'd really consider people trying to join it because there's a real opportunity here to make sure that what happened last year never happens again.
Why not? Let's go for 3.
We're getting used to it, right?
Well, I mean,
Isn't that are there nominations? Yes, Suzanne?
Carolyn, do you want to be on that committee? Or was that like a hint?
I can't from the board.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
I might think about it.
So nomination, anybody want to be on the elections committee? Bob?
I nominate myself.
Okay.
I was on that committee. I thought I learned something, but I would nominate myself. But I think this committee has no power. We complained and we talked about all our problems, but nothing happened. It went on and on and on. No, but
Okay, we can't have this discussion.
But anyway.
Do you want? Are you nominating yourself or not?
I do, but maybe if we get a little more power.
Just as a point of information.
I don't want to argue this. We're not going to argue this. We're taking nominations to committees. However it is, you know. The next, which one? So are the two people, Bob Lederer and Manise, are there other nominations? Seeing none, so congratulations. Okay, the Committee on Racism, Sexism, and Other Forms of Discrimination. Yes. Daniel, yeah.
I'll be on it. I'm
Okay.
nominating myself to be on the committee.
Okay. Good.
There's two
Are there other people who want to be on this committee?
What, you want it once, Mitchell?
Yes, but I'm going to
And
put
you
the
never showed up.
same requirement that I just did to manage and not talk about the committee right now.
You can't, you didn't show up.
That's you're baiting me to talk about it.
I would nominate you if.
No, I don't want to be
He
on it.
doesn't show up.
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Sister Dobson.
Do you know if she wants to be on it? Yeah, you need to. The so there's Danielle is the only. You know, if we want to do this again later, if somebody changes their mind, we could always add another person if we only have one now.
You guys don't have anybody? Okay, so put Sister
No, she hasn't been talked to. We don't know if she wants to do it.
to her, but she had an emergency. She's literally in the air now.
Oh,
So I'll nominate.
but she wants to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so the two nominees are Betty Dobson and Danielle Diva. Two. Yes, Carolyn.
We can nominate as many as we like. I'd like to nominate Andrea Fishman.
Oh, no. Forget it. We're just going to waste time. I withdraw Sister Betty.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah, Andrea, is this something you want to do? Just say yes or no. Thanks. Carolyn, I think. So, are there objections to those two nominees, Daniel Vila and Andrea Fishman?
Is there a limit to the number of committees that the person?
No, you could be on. But the problem is that you get bogged down really quickly on these meetings, depending on which committee you're on, and that some committees happen very often and others much less often.
Yeah, there's these teleconferences that go on for hours.
PRA task force.
Okay. The next is the Pacifica Radio Task Force. What is it? The Archives Task Force, isn't it?
Pacifica Radio Archives Task
Right.
Force.
And is somebody on that now? The task force? Pacifica Radio Archives? And this is like a great committee, actually. They actually get things done.
Party committee.
I'm asking, is anybody on it now that could talk about the Pacifica Radio Archives? Is somebody on it now?
Can you describe? I was on at the beginning and I did not attend. I can explain what it's supposed to do, but not what I did.
Okay, can you do that?
You were doing the elections at the time.
Archives is essentially, it should be raising money because the archives are in a terrible position of not having adequate storage space, and they don't have enough money to convert the archives into digital material and save them. They're deteriorating. Beyond that, the committee, the people who run the archives keep a pretty strong rein on anything else that might get done, such as public relations campaigns. Last year they had a school campaign where they people donated money, $100 for a set of archival material from the civil rights. They got a set, and the school of their choice got a set. They got hundreds and hundreds of donations that way. So they do run at least one campaign. Last year it was very successful. That may be another. It might now be limited more to fundraising than actually dealing with archival material, but then there might be another public relations event such as that sort.
Kathy?
Yeah, you're correct. I think I just wanted to point out that the archives, the Pacifica archives, they have miles of tape that has to be digitized before it is destroyed just by age. And actually BAI has the same thing, so if anyone were interested in getting involved in that, it's important actually. No, in terms of finding resources, it might even be finding libraries who could help or schools who could help do the transfer to actually just save the tape. So I just think that that's really important because that is the history. Pacifica holds a history that no one else in the world has.
And may I add something to that?
Okay.
This is where technology and archives come into play. We right now outsource all of this digitalization, and that may not have to be, so the technology committee itself may actually end up having something to say about how the archiving is done. So in that sense, it might be a more important committee than people would think at first.
Are there nominations for this committee?
I nominate Sean Rhodes.
Sean? Okay, and I would nominate Suzanne if you'd like to be on this committee. It's a good place to jump in at the beginning.
I think that it's open membership on this, no?
Oh, really? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a task force.
Yeah, anybody
Yeah,
wants
Oh.
anyone on
Just
the
gonna have
LSB
to,
can be on it.
Decline at the moment. It's just
Okay.
it's too busy for me right now to join a committee.
Okay. So, if it's open membership, I don't know what that means. We don't have to vote for anyone, or?
No.
No, we don't.
As many people as want to can be on it, is what it means.
Yeah, but we should assign people to it, right?
Well, we should know so that we can tell the
Right.
Pacific National Board, here they are.
When I have a meeting, they'll get a mail saying.
Okay,
having-
so, is there anybody else who would like to be on this task force?
Well, I'm
Besides
on
Sean?
the technology committee. Is that?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
All right, so we're not voting on this committee, just seeing who wants to be on it, and then everybody could be on it.
Are we allowed to object?
I don't think you are, actually.
No,
No.
really?
No.
To what, technology?
Okay, so we have two people. Are there other, well, if anybody wants to, we could add, just let us know and we'll make sure you get on the listserv so that you can be part of that. So, okay, so we have Janet, right, and Sean. Okay. And the last, two more.
Affiliates Task Force.
Affiliates Task Force. Janet and I have been on the Affiliates Task Force. Yeah, I'm about to.
It would be a very interesting committee indeed if it were not really a landlocked if it were not a landlocked battle between, as it appears to me, between two factions of affiliate people, one supporting the notion of a task force that already has existed for several years, the head of the Pacifica Affiliates Division, and somebody else from the PNB, and they do seem to have a lot of strife, and that's what most of the meetings are about.
And
Not about how to expand our affiliate base or how to make connections between local the sister stations and the affiliates. So I find them very opaque, but somebody else may have another way of breaking through that barrier, and it's a tremendously important resource for all of us, really.
I've been on that committee too, as is Kathy. Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, I think that there is going on in that particular committee some strife, but it is a really important committee, and because I think we have more than 100 affiliates now, maybe 120 affiliates across the country, and I think we might have affiliates in Africa also. So there's a potential for a real creative interchange and exchange. So I think that's important enough to for someone to make their commitment to that. So I would hope that somebody does. And then maybe, you know, it needs somebody of a more rational and peaceful countenance. Maybe they can help, I don't know.
Yes, it's been, well, let me give a report too, that the divisions on the committee have nothing to do for once with the divisions that exist here at BAI, which is stunning. So the affiliates, as Kathy said, there are, I think it's 140 affiliates now, and with Al Jazeera coming on, I think there are going to be more affiliates. We have to discuss what services to provide to the affiliates. But think of the potential of what it means to have a network of 140, 150 stations that actually can take programming, shoot it through the entire network if need be, what kind of services we could provide, what kind of services they could provide for us. There's all sorts of really interesting possibilities there. And once they get past this loggerheads over the structure of the chair or whatever they're doing now, which we haven't really been that much part of. So I would nominate myself for.
Okay.
I would like to be on it again.
I think it's also important in terms of what it can do as a communication tool in the country, and that's why it's important, even though there is sort of this ego competition going on in the structure of it. If we could get beyond that, we could be able to communicate messages, a unified message across the country that could be a real powerful force with regard to the mainstream media. So I think it's really important to solve those problems, and I would hope that somebody would be committed to it.
Are there other, John? We're taking nominations.
Or volunteers.
Yeah.
This is a task force?
Well, it's not clear to me if it's a task force.
It was a task force, it became
a committee.
And the motion to make it a committee was sort of undone, and I'm not really sure what the current status of that is.
They're still arguing about it.
I think for our purposes, we can treat it as a task force for now.
Right, if anybody wants to be on it, they should. Yes, John.
I'll nominate.
Cool. Cool. Anybody else?
How often does it meet?
I think it's once a month.
A lot? Seems a
No,
lot.
it's just once a month.
That's not a lot for a committee.
It's not a lot. Finance committee meets like 10 times a week.
Wow.
Is that something that you would want to be on? Because you can, since it's a... Okay. Anybody else? Okay, are there any objections? Seeing none, so those three people. Myself, John Brinkley, and Elizabeth Brown. Governance. Who's on governance now? Anybody on governance committee now?
I was on it.
Nobody? What happened to... I guess everybody who lost the election were on all these committees.
I was on it for 6 years. Governance committee covers a lot of the details of governance. It takes up things like it talks about bylaws and bylaws amendments, and then historically what happens is 6 directors will get together and do whatever they bloody please, no matter what the committee says, and that goes to the PNB. That has happened. However, in other things, it does discuss various issues regarding, like the LSBs, the PNB itself. Issues are brought up in terms of compliance because there are a number of legal things related to what we're all doing right here. We all have a certain legal status. PNB has a very big legal status, and a lot of things have to come up there. It talks about, how, like if there's a dispute about a membership, it goes to the governance committee. If there's a dispute about how an LSB can do something, or can the PNB do something, it goes there. Plus, in my experience, a lot of the time when the PNB gets stumped, they throw stuff in governance.
Yes.
Just one thing about the governance committee, it is the most common place where bylaws amendments originate. It's not the only way to start a bylaws amendment process, but it's the most common.
Kathy?
I think that potentially the governance committee could do something useful. But from my experience, it's been the committee where ideas go to die. Just nothing happens. Nothing ever comes out.
Well, that's a great incentive. Who wants to be on the? Who wants to be the Undertaker committee?
It would be good to get some bylaws amendments going. That's one thing that we can use some good bylaws.
Can let's? Okay, Art Paul nominates himself. Bob?
I'll nominate myself.
And Bob nominates himself. This is only 2 people?
Yeah, this is great.
Does anybody else want to be on or nominate others to this committee? Seeing none, without objection, those 2 people, Bob and Arpal, will be our representatives to that committee. And the last committee is the committees of inclusion.
What's that?
Yeah, we haven't seen a report from that in forever.
They should be folded together.
Is anybody want to talk about the committees of inclusion and what it does, what it is?
Different from racism and sexism and
It's, well,
everything else
you wanna read
ism.
We have to read the bylaw. Yeah.
It's in the bylaws.
Let's see.
I mean, because the committee of inclusion should include all the isms, so.
It'd be good, I mean, it's
asking, having so many committees, it's like small print.
Well,
I intentionally printed this in
Mitch, I could
5-point
say
type.
something about it.
Yes, please do. Bob.
Okay, so the committees of inclusion were included in the bylaws. Some of us believe it's just kind of a token gesture to alleviate the fact that there weren't any mandated representation of the different population groups, particularly disenfranchised populations around our 5 signal areas. But in any case, whatever the reason it was structured that way, it was set up to monitor the communities that are served by each of our 5 signal areas to see if the important representational groups are there at the table. That means programming, staffing, paid and unpaid, and elections. It was supposed to monitor who's being nominated for the board. Is it representative of our signal areas? And if not, what policies need to be changed in order to do that? And of course, like every other committee, it's only advisory. It can't mandate anything, but it can at least recommend. So